beautiful people, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm bringing you my guest, Mira. Thanks to technology, I found Mira a shamanic practitioner while I was doing some research. Have you ever heard of shamanism? Do you know what's involved in shamanic practice? Have you ever tried psychedelic drugs? Did you know there are other ways that you can tap into your unconsciousness? Personally, I have been on this spiritual journey for quite some time now, and I'm so thankful that I found Aubrey Marcus's podcast, which led me to Mira. If you have never heard of shamanism, or maybe you want to tap into your unconsciousness, or maybe you feel like it's time for you to explore the spiritual side of things, well, you are going to love this episode. Actually, because Mira and we had such an amazing chat, there will be two parts to this dramatic topic. You would definitely want to grab your notebook and a cup of tea or warm water for this. So enjoy! With your years of practice, what do you think people struggle the most in life?
I feel people struggle the most in their own thoughts. I feel that it's a kind of like a framework that we're given in, especially the first from 0 to 7 years old. That's when we are programmed with whatever that's around us. And then it's not just about how our parents parent us. It's not about parenting. This is not what I'm getting into, because a lot of time people will be like, oh, it's just how my parents parent me, then I should blame them. It's their fault.
No.
It's not just that. When we're before 7 years old, our brainwave is in a very open wavelength. Like we're very open to everything. We pick up everything, even though that's not being said or being done. We pick up our parents' emotional patterns. We pick up their trauma. We pick up the things they want to say, but they are afraid to say, or they do not want to say it. We pick up everything and we learn everything in that way. It's like a sponge, you just absorb everything that comes your way.
Yeah.
And so I feel the most challenging part in healing for everyone is to face that structure that you're given. Because a lot of them is unconscious, because when you absorb them, they go into the part of you that's not conscious. It's not like, oh, I remember this, or I remember. You don't remember, and you can say that you don't know with your mental mind, but your subconscious just act on it. Just act on the program. It's like the program you're going on. So I feel the hardest part for everyone, including me, is to be very aware of what is this program I'm running on? Why am I doing this? Sometimes that I'll give you an example on my own, is that I had a difficult childhood emotionally, and so that part is over when I left Taiwan, right? So physically I'm out of there, and I'm in this better environment that I'm creating. But a lot of time before I went into the spiritual healing, I noticed that I couldn't see myself in a good place. I was still living with my old filter, with my old way of thinking from my childhood.
Yes.
So when I see my husband, I don't see him as who he is. I see him as, this is like my dad. Oh my God, he said that. How could he say that? Like, it's like you still see things from your old wound. You're not living in this moment. So I feel that's the most challenging part, is that how do we allow ourselves to get out of that and to release that and to see, because sometimes it's not about the willingness of releasing it. Sometimes it's about I don't even know. I don't even know that's what I am going through.
Yes.
So to go deep, to be aware of, oh yeah, I feel my husband is not helping me. It's not really he's not helping me. It's that I do not let him help me unconsciously, and I didn't even know. So to break that pattern, to it's like a mark. The first 7 years, even the first 12, 18 years of our life, it's like it has that mark on it. It's like, and then you need to go back to see, okay, is this program still suitable for my current life? Do I still need to carry that in my current life? Sometimes my life could be, very well, but I don't see it. Not because I don't want to see it. It's just I couldn't see it. I don't know what's running in me.
I think you said it so beautifully just then about you are the creator. Like for those who are listening and watching, I just want to let you know that you are the creator of your life. And the way that you just said it, like the way that you see things, but even though there are great things, happening around you, but unfortunately you were programmed to think, how you were thinking in the old ways. So even though there were good things happening, you were like, oh, my life is shit.
Yeah.
So how can people get themselves out of that?
I think the first step is to pause when you react. Before you react, it's a practice of being mindfulness.
Yes.
I think being mindful is one of the biggest thing in my life. I mean, that's like something that really changed me. Like before I react, a lot of time we would just react. Like when someone says something and you're just like, how could you? And then you say something back or you attack back. And that's a reaction. That's a reaction. But then you don't need to react. Sometimes you react because of it's your feeling. The other person might not say that because of what you were thinking, like that's the storyline we create. So I think the best way for me is to be mindful, like to be mindful and pause, be mindful of like of why am I feeling this way? Why is there anger? Why is there attacked energy that wants to come out? Who do I want to attack? Is it this person that I want to attack? Or maybe not. Maybe it was something that happened when I was younger, that something needs to come out but didn't really have that environment or space to support me to do that. So to be mindful is, I feel it's the first step to understand ourselves and to be with those emotions that we act out right away, or we try to suppress, like, oh, this is bad, or we try to resist, try to fight with it. Instead of doing all that, you just be with it, because that usually indicates the parts that we were rejected, we were not accepted when we were kids. So that's the part that now we can be with consciously.
I feel like the way that you have described it is amazing, but I feel for some people who might be listening and watching, it might be a bit too profound for them, because honestly, you need to do a lot of work, and that's just life. But I would love to say this. Everything in life, it's like a negotiation, okay? So when someone says something terrible or give you some judgment, I would highly encourage you for you to negotiate with yourself whether you want to take that in or not. So you can take time. 3 seconds. That is so easy. Just count in your head and just be like 1, 2, 3. Just count the seconds instead of focusing on the comment or the judgment. And if you yourself want to say something straight away or be defensive, again, negotiate with yourself and then think about it and be like, why? And yeah, and just be more mindful.
Yes, that asking ourselves why is the first step of being mindful in the
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
And I also want to say that, like we said before, we are creators. Sometimes you really need to take the responsibility and have the awareness, knowing that you have contributed to whatever you are experiencing in life. Playing the victim card is not going to help you, but realizing that you have the power to change your life around, like how Mira has done, will honestly change your life around. But how would you encourage people to really realize that they are powerful?
I think to feel yourself powerful is it takes a lot of practice. It's a journey. I think it's a journey. It's not something we say to people that they will be able to see that right away. I think
Mm,
it's a very personal journey for someone, but it
mm,
starts with intention, right? Like
mm,
we all know, like as you said, we are all creators of our life. We can take responsibility with what we create. I think to have that intention to start with, to walk on the path, and on this path, it's not always just unicorn and flowers and pink mist,
no.
in it. It actually takes you on a hero's journey. Like I
Mm,
really like that Joseph Campbell's way of describing the hero's journey. It's that you have to step out of your castle and
mm,
you have a mission, and then you go on. On the way, you're going to meet your mentor, you're going to meet your friends, your ally, and you're going to receive knowledge, you're going to know skills through them. And then on the way there, you're going to, encounter some crazy monsters that you feel you can defeat. But
mm,
with your ally, your friend, your mentor all together, you're able to slay that dragon and keep
mm,
going.
mm,
And then when you keep going and going, and then you would start to see, oh yeah, I can do this. And then
mm,
you started to notice that your change, like
mm,
little by little. Okay, I can do this now. Like 2 years ago, I couldn't back then, but now I can
mm,
do that now. And then, or something that really bothered me 2 years ago, a year ago, and now it's just like, well, whatever, it's
mm,
nothing big, it doesn't even bother me. So I think our personal power grow when we go on our hero's journey through all these challenges, through all
mm,
these difficulties, because without that, what do we grow from? We
mm.
can't grow. We would just be like, whoever was still in the castle back then. But to step out of that, to start that journey is the key, and the intention to start that journey is even more essential, because
Mm.
without that, you won't even step out of that castle.
Yeah, I like the way that you described it because we are forever learning, you know? And you're right, 2 years ago, maybe something has happened, but now you're like, oh, I have overcome it. But that's life, you learn something and you overcome it. And I also think that the attitude is very important. Like, yes, on your way, you are gonna, encounter some monsters, or let's say the monsters are your enemies, or you think those are your enemies, or people who are not serving you. But also on the way, you are gonna find good mentors. But if you look at each event, each person is a learning lesson, again, you will look at life so differently. You wouldn't be like, oh, this is so shit. This is happening to me. My life sucks. But you might look at it as like, okay, so what is the lesson this time? What am I meant to learn?
Yeah.
Um, I
And
feel,
also on that part, that also just something came to me, is that we do not give ourselves enough credit.
oh,
Like
yes.
in many situations. Even after you went through many difficulties, you slay a dragon, you achieve something, and
Yes.
at this, but we don't see that. We're just like, oh, I'm still not there yet. Like, I'm
Yeah.
still feeling like this. I'm still like feel down. Like, I still just, this, I'm not enough, or like I'm not good enough. But that's because we're only looking at the part that we haven't got. We forgot to turn around and see that, hey, yeah, I slay a dragon too, and there's ogres lying down there, and then this thing is not bothering me, and then I gain this superpower on the way. And if we don't give ourselves credit to see what we gain along the way, we're gonna fall into that trap of like, I'm not enough. I
Yeah.
feel, nothing,
Yeah.
to see that good things that you have achieved and give yourself credit and to applaud for yourself.
Yes.
That is, I think, very, very important. And that's a
Yes.
big part of self-care. That's
Yes.
a big part of self-love, is that we do not judge ourselves for the things we have, for the things that we have not achieved yet, or for the person we have not become.
Yet.
We don't punish ourselves with that unknown
Yes.
part, because we don't know.
Yeah.
So the best way to get to the future self is to love ourselves, to get there, like
Yes.
to be like, yes, I've done this, I'm good, and now I'm just gonna keep going. I'm
Yes.
good, I'm heading to somewhere good.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding everyone that, it is so, so important to self-praise, and also self-reflect. And when you self-reflect, look at all the amazing things that you have done, even as little as it can be. If you are right now, if you are someone who is trying to lose weight because of health reasons, and if you have only lost, let's say, zero point 0.2 kilo, but be amazing about it, because you have done something. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for reminding people. That is really important. Um, by the sound of it, though, I feel like this type of work, shamanic work, you need to use a lot of energy.
So that I got this question a lot, like they usually client came to see me, or they will ask me, so you, after the work is done, they will always say, you must be very tired.
Mm.
And but in my experience, um, actually I don't feel drained. Like,
Wow.
when you work properly with loving, kind, helping spirit, they're the one who's doing the work, and I'm just the
Mm.
bridge. So of course, like, like after work, of course I feel, physically I want to sit down, lie down, eat some food. But then, that's like doing everything, like doing any kind of work, I'll have that feeling. But i I don't feel I am dragged into client's darkness, or I don't
Mm.
feel my client is taking away my own energy, because
Mm.
whoever was there to give that healing wasn't me. I'm not using my own energy, because
Yes.
we're living in this body, we have finite resource, like, there's a limit in this. So to have the extra one, it has to come from those benevolent spirits, not
Yes.
me.
Mm.
So when you do healing in that way, it really makes the difference. You don't feel drained. So I used to volunteer in hospice, to
Mm.
give the hospice patient
Wow.
Reiki. And so one time there was this training, that there was this volunteer who also does Reiki sitting next to me. And we're sharing our experiences. And then she said, I always found very drained after I do my volunteer. So I asked her, so what is your power source? She said, I mean, power source. I was like, like, it could be, your God, an angel, or, like a power somewhere, not your power to do the work. And she said, no, I don't have any. I was like, so you're using
Mm.
your own energy to do the Reiki. And of course you feel drained because it
Mm.
can never work that way because we are finite. Like it
Yes.
has to come from somewhere else.
Yes, that is so beautifully put. But still, though, how do you look after yourself?
So I go to nature a lot. I need a lot of alone time, like a lot of me time. That's the way I recharge myself, and like to journal also helps me to clear my mind, to understand what is going on here. Because
Mm.
although I'm doing healing, although there is helping spirit, there's still part of the work I have to do for myself to process, to integrate my own life. So that's the part that that I make sure that I have.
Yeah. How would you encourage people to look after their own well-being now and even after pandemic?
Mm, during pandemic, I would say stop watching news. um, I think that to take care of ourselves, there are many different layers, and there could be food you eat. You know, like everybody likes different food, and you need to find those food that energize you, that
Mm.
makes you feel good. And also enough sleep. You know, this is the basic thing for the body, the physical part. But there's also um, mental part. You know, like it's also important what are we consuming in what we read, what we watch, what we listen to. Like
Who we
are those,
surround with.
yes, who we're hanging out with. And so it's very important to set that boundary of, you know, like you wouldn't, you sometimes we eat junk food, but you wouldn't eat junk food all the time. But we might have the TV, the news going on in the background 24/7. That's
Mm.
not that's not very healthy, because you know all these words, all these things that people say, all this violence or bad news, it has its energy. The
Yes.
energy comes, it comes, and sometimes they come in when you're least protected. You know, like when you're eating, when you're doing things, when you're mindless, this thing comes in because you're not protecting yourself from it. And
Mm.
those are very important things that these days people don't really pay attention to, or they don't know that
Mm.
is also a diet they need to watch out.
Yes, that is such a great point. Now, during pandemic and after pandemic, like yes, what you consume literally from everywhere, every senses is so important. I don't know if you have met anyone or know anyone that's like this, but I feel like a lot of people out there can relate to this question though. So I know a lot of people they haven't worked on themselves and they are seeking security and love and trying to numb themselves from other ways like jumping into relationships. And I feel like that's not the best way. But then unfortunately some people they are then, you know, blindly got married and then they have kids and they still yet to want to work on themselves. What how can we, if you know anyone like this, I mean those who are listening and watching, so how can we help those people?
I would say that, you know, the partners that we choose to marry to, there is no coincidence that why we marry that person, even though from other people's eyes they'll be like, why you marry that person, like, you know, why, like it's always easier as a third party, you know, to be a third party to observe other people's relationship or their marriage. But I truly believe that there is no such thing as wrong. You know, there's something wrong, but I'm just saying that in of course, you know, if there's like a violence, there's abuse, of course you should, you know, say no and leave. But I'm just saying that every experience that we encounter, that we get into, there is this reason behind, why we get into this relationship. And then a lot of people, they might not be happy in their relationship or in their marriage. It could be starting from beginning, they chose the person out of the wrong reason. They get into it and then they become unhappy. And it could be that at the beginning, I thought this is the right partner for me. And then I get into it and I'll be like, what the hell am I getting myself into? So there is all these different kinds of situation. It might be something we feel great to get in. It might be something for a wrong reason to get in. But in the marriage, in the relationship, there is always something for us to see. The partners that we choose a lot of time reflect our relationship with our parents. We a lot of time tend to find a partner that's really similar to our father or our mother. And through that close relationship, that intimate connection with this person, we are reminded of what was happening in our childhood. And there might be lots of wounds or traumas during childhood that reflect in our relationship or in our marriage, that through our partners, we get to look at our wounds again. We get to work through these things again. Because, like a lot of time when we're wounded, our hearts are closed, like shut tight, and then we're wearing armors. We do things in certain ways to protect ourselves, and we don't easily open up. And then that in an intimate relationship of marriage, that won't work, because how can you be with someone who's like armor on and not want to show their vulnerability all the time? You can't get close to them. And that's when some couples will feel like, I don't know who that person is anymore. We are so far apart. I don't know what to say to the person. Like, he grow his way and I grow my way, and we're just falling apart. And that's usually when two cannot connect their vulnerability with each other. And it takes a lot of work to open our heart. And it's like, the communication that we need to do. And there's tons of work in a good relationship. But I think the most important part in this experience is for us to look at ourselves again.
Yes.
Because without looking at ourselves, we cannot be a whole person. To heal ourselves, to look at these wounds and heal them and make ourselves whole again, then that's when we can grow again, from that wounded child to an adult. And then when you go through that process of, adulting, and become adult again, then you are able to be whole. And when you're whole, you tend to look for someone who's whole too. And I would say that while you're working on yourself, you might risk losing your partner, because not everyone wants to go on that path. So you might lose someone because of that. But that doesn't give us a good reason to not work on ourselves, right? You don't want to be in a codependent relationship in that way, because what's the good in it for always asking other people to fulfill my happiness, while I can find ways to do that. And when two people are able to take care of themselves, like, I want to do this, so I go ahead and pursue it. And when I'm able to do that, when I look at my partner, when he wants to pursue his own thing, I can be happy for him because
Yes.
I know how important this is and I'm doing it. So I want him to do it too. And in that, we create freedom. We are
Yes.
not saying that, oh, how come he's doing that and I can't do that? Or how come he takes all the vacation doing that thing and then I have to take care of kids? And, you no longer have that need to complain about the thing you can fulfill. Like, you have the choice to do it, and there's always ways to arrange things to make it happen if you really want it. So to be responsible, to satisfy ourselves, to pursue whatever we should, is priority in every relationship. Because without that, this relationship or this marriage just becomes a prison that
Yeah.
imprison both of us and our kids. And then our kids
Yeah.
will look at us and be like, my mom is not happy, my dad is not happy, no
Yes.
one's happy here.
Yes.
So at the same time, to be able to do that, you will need to take some risk, because you don't know if your partner is also willing to go through that. But you don't risk not doing that.
Yeah. The way that you said, oh, why isn't that person working on themselves? Is so Taiwanese.
That's my Taiwanese voice coming out.
I couldn't help it. I was just, oh
That's
man,
my program here too.
I do that all the time. It's so funny. But thank you so much for saying that. I also want to say something because I feel like sometimes people don't know what they don't know. So they feel like they might be in everyone knows relationships take work, but there is a work that is going against you, that is serving you, or that is work that is actually uplifting you and actually helping you. And we are role models to, our family, our if you have kids and you're role models to your kids and partner and whatever. And if you are so unwilling to take the responsibility to look within, how can we help those people? Because I truly believe that in a relationship, like you said, is two whole people coming together. But not everyone is that fortunate to have two whole people coming together. But also
No,
not
we
every
all come in like parts,
yes. And
especially in today's day.
yeah, like swipe, swipe.
We
um,
all come as fragments of
yes,
ourselves.
but not not everyone is that fortunate to meet a partner who is willing to, work with them.
That's a risk of life, right? So
Mm,
sometimes you meet someone, you love the person, and you go into the relationship or the marriage, and that's a risk itself to take, because you don't know, and that's
mm.
why it takes some impulse to get in there.
Speaking of love, though, I think there is people get really confused with love. So to me, I think the ultimate love is unconditional love. But some people they think that the love that they give is unconditional. But personally, I feel like if you have an intention of doing certain things, as for example, going into a relationship and doing certain things for your partner, I personally feel like that is actually conditional love. how how can we illustrate unconditional love to people?
It's difficult because, to be able to just be out there, I mean, for everyone in this world, because we are so finite, this is what we only have. in this body and the energy that we have in here. So without that touch with the source of love, source of strength and wisdom and power, by ourselves, it's really hard to show, that unconditional love, because our ego works in a way like, everything is limit is limited, and it's like that scarcity mindset is that if I do this, will that be enough for all of us? And I feel that that's the human issue, like that we are not able to give unconditional love because we are not in touch with that source of love. So in order to show that part more, we need to connect with that to be able to, because sometimes just by us, it's definitely not enough. We're not able to, because we have a lot of the egoic part that we want to take care of ourselves. We have selfish way of taking care of ourselves. So I think this is universal for human being, is that to be able to do that unconditional love, especially in relationship, it's even harder, because like you telling a wounded child, although in adult form, to give our partner unconditional love and sacrifice, and it takes a lot, because that cup is not full at all. It's like so little water in there, so little energy in there. So I feel to be able to achieve that, we need to find that source, that life source first, so that we're able to fill our own cup. Then we can give whatever that's overflowing from there.
You just illustrated the saying, take care of yourself first before you take care of others, so beautifully. Because honestly, if your cup is honestly so empty with so little water, how the heck are you gonna help other people? And yeah, like you really need to take care of yourself. And like that is why self love, self care, and all these things is so important, because you are really not just doing it for yourself. You're also really doing it for those around you, those that you love and care for. And I also want to remind people, for those who might have been experiencing the things that I just illustrated, how you do see someone that is in a relationship that you feel like it's not very healthy, or blah blah blah, like what Mira said, like you are looking at it from a third lens, and is from an outsider point of view. Perhaps you can look at it like, okay, so what kind of lesson that I can learn here? Because you can always look at things like a learning curve. So yeah, I think.
And also, I found that sometimes when we, everyone does that, we have that judgment with other people's situation. And when something that is deeply trigger us, like we would think, how come they're not doing this? How come it brings up that emotional energy that you can feel, that you get from just observing them. That means that there is a part in us that needs to get looked at.
Yes.
Like we need to look at it, like why I have that strong reaction or feelings towards to that situation. It's like they're serving as a mirror to show us that, hey, you still have this missing part. Maybe you need to look at why this is triggering you. Is it reminding you of something?
Yes.
Past experiences, or the part that you want to be treated in a certain way.
Yeah, love it. That is a very good point. Like when things happen, just start looking within, because it probably has triggered something from your childhood or your past experience. Now, personally, I practice gratitude since young, and the first thing that I do when I wake up is pay gratitude to literally everything. However, I feel like it is something that is quite hard for everyone to do. Is there any tips that you would give to people to be more grateful?
To be more grateful, it's like a habit that you need to build.
Oh, yeah.
That it's not that, hey, you need to be more, you need to see the good things. Like when people tell us, hey, you should see the good thing, how come you don't see this? We don't see it. And then it takes a lot of awareness first, because I feel that through my practice, I see that a lot of people are very addicted to their negative thinking.
Oh.
It's like a spiral. It's like a spiral. Once you fall in, it's really hard to come out of that spiral of negative thinking, that you're only confined in seeing things I don't have, I'm not enough, I'm bad, every hard thing is happening to me. So it's that confining view that we are so addicted to have. And then so I think it's a it takes practice, and it also needs to be built as a habit to do that.
Yes.
And I think the first thing is that this person will need to have that strong intention that this is, I want to change my life. And then they start to see that their belief creates their thoughts, and their thoughts creates their habit, and their habits create their personality, and their personality decide their fate. So they need to start to see this relation between the cause and the result.
Yes.
They need to start to see that, and then you go back, because like Carl Jung said something so beautifully. He said that anything we do not make conscious of, we think they're fate. So yeah, so when you be very aware of why I'm so addicted to this negative thinking, and you break down to how you look at the world, like the belief system is just how we look at this world. So I think it has to go to the root of the belief of what I believe, so that they can build that habit of doing the gratitude diary in a journal, or to see that little good things in life.
Yes. But yeah, you pointed out so I love it. I love the way that you said it. Addiction. People, are you addicted to being negative? Because you can change it, and everything starts with small steps, and it's better to take the risk now than never.
Sometimes it's hard to break that addiction. Like when you talk about the addiction, usually when people are addicted to something, like say negative thoughts or drugs or alcohol or food or anything, like there is some like trauma behind the addiction. There are also some unmet needs behind it. So, and then a lot of time there's also some very painful things, memories or experiences behind the addiction. So you have to numb yourself through these things so that you don't feel what is there. And so to deal with addiction actually goes very deep into the healing part in ourselves. So sometimes it could be challenging, because it can be just like, oh, I know I have addiction, but to break it is hard, because I have to go in to dig into that that unmet needs, or those comfortable emotions in there. So it's actually a long journey for us to go back in there.
Yeah, and it's very confronting actually, but you are not alone on this journey. I just want to remind everyone, and there are services and people who are willing to help you. like Mira. So honestly, if whoever that's listening and watching, if you just know it in yourself that you need some healing, please do get in contact. And if she can't help you, she will also point you to the right direction.
Yeah, there are so many different therapists that, like it's not just, like with one condition, you don't just go with one type of modality or one type of like shamanic practitioner. You actually can explore that in many aspects with, somatic therapy or family constellation, like all these different type of ways to look at it, because everyone is different. You need to use different ways to tackle it.
Yes, totally. I feel like you and I, we can talk for ages because, it's live. Like, there's endless things that you can talk about. But before I ask you my last question, do you feel like there's anything that I didn't ask or you would particularly want to share?
I think you asked very great questions. Can't think of anything right now.
Okay, that's good. Well, my last question for you is how do you think we can be there for each other in general?
I feel that we will, like, instead of saving people, I would say we should see people and hear people. Like, to be seen and to be heard is one of the biggest desire in everyone's life. Like, we do not like to be told what to do, but when we put ourselves out there, when we put our vulnerability out there, we want someone to sit there and not, they don't need to fully understand, but they are willing to open their heart, open their ears, open their eyes to see it, to hear it, to embrace it. So I think that's the way we can be there for each other.
Yes, that was beautiful. And sometimes you just need to hold space for other people, and so then they can feel heard and seen. But I also want to thank you for bringing that up. I want to remind people that if you want to hold space for people, please remind yourself not to take on the negative energy because otherwise you're going to affect your own mood. But yeah, that's right. Be there for people and listen. Yes, know your boundaries. And yeah, thank you so much for your time today. Where are you at in life right now? Where is your headspace at? How is your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health right now? Are you living a fulfilling and joyful life? What lens are you wearing while you're looking at your own life? Do you feel like you're constantly facing negative events and having one bad issue after another? I don't know where you are physically at or what you're going through in life, but honestly, you don't know what you don't know. Life is too short not to give things a try. You already know how Mira can help you, so why not give it a try? I'm sure it will be worth it. You are a powerful human being who can create amazing things. But first, you got to look within and be willing to face your dark sides too. You don't have to do this all alone. All Mira's details are in the description below. Now don't forget to subscribe, click the thumbs up button if you have loved it, and share it with someone because you never know what they're going through. You can click here for more amazing stories, or you can click here to start looking within. And remember, you are amazing and you are not alone. And I will see you next time.